Hey guys, it's Sid with svtperformance.com, and as you can see, we are at 5-Star Tuning in Florence, South Carolina, and they've been kind enough to put their 2020 F250 Super Duty up on the rack for us. And what makes this one special is it's got the new 7.3 Godzilla gas motor in it. Now, I know you guys have seen me post on the site quite a bit about this engine. We actually broke a lot of the news about it, that it was going to be a push rod motor and all that kind of stuff. I know you guys have been wanting to see more and more about it, so thought we'd put the truck up on the rack, take a walk underneath, and show you what's going on. You have to forgive me as I grunt and everything. I have to get under here. But you know what? Let's just tease you a little bit longer and start at the back. It's basically what you're used to seeing on the 2017 and up Super Duties. As far as the structure of the truck, Ford didn't change a ton on the 2020 models. On this particular model, it's a F250 STX. We've got the standard 2-3-ish leaf spring pack in the back. I'm not sure which axles this thing have in it. Looks like Ford corporate axle, same one they've been using for years. I know in some models you get a Dana axle, but that depends on like payload capacity and your options you pick out, stuff like that. This one has the regular 10.5-inch corporate axle. Pretty much just standard fare, what you're used to seeing underneath. Full-size spare, of course. Massive hitch. You know, Ford's been really good about this over the years as far as putting very, very beefy towing hardware. You can see all the bolts and the way this thing connects into the fully boxed frame. Aluminum structure for the body and bed, just like we're used to seeing. Massive brakes, both front and rear, which is great. You're going to want to stop once you load this thing down. We've got skid plates on the fuel tank. Again, this one's gasoline, and the big takeaway I want you guys to notice on this is how much more room there is underneath this truck than there is on a comparable diesel model. I mean, you don't have a DEF tank and the massive external fuel pump with fuel filters and all that kind of stuff sitting in this real estate area in front of the pump. You've got just a lot of room under here. Got a skid plate underneath the transfer case. But let's take a tour of the exhaust system to start with on the 7.3. So if we start up here, we can see we're bolted in to the cast iron manifold. Come around, we've got 2 catalytic converters. Now the great thing is all this exhaust piping looks like we're around 3 inches or so further back, but there's no crazy neck downs or pinch bends or anything like that. It looks like all this stuff is pretty free flowing from the factory. I would expect that you're not going to get a ton of power from deleting the cat, so I would just leave that stuff alone. If somebody comes out with some really nice headers, you might be able to do something, but it's, if you see on the 4-wheel drive trucks, the front drive shaft may be in the way of putting a set of long tubes on. But if you guys remember, Bassani used to make like a set of mid-lift headers for the Gen 2 Lightnings. They look like a bundle of snakes tucked in there. I'll show you a little bit later in another video underneath the hood, but there's a ton of room on either side of the engine to do something like that, to put a sort of set of mid-length headers and package it in underneath the hood without having any restrictions coming down beside the frame rail. Again, if it was 2-wheel drive model, it'd probably be fine because you see how much space we have between the frame rail and the transmission on this side. It's just the drive shaft sort of gets in the way. But you know how it is on most of these Super Duties. They have 4-wheel drive, because if you're going to have one of these trucks in tow lot, you want to be able to get out of a sticky situation in some sand or mud. But like I said, we have 2 catalytic converters. They come back, they merge in this resonator, and it looks like it is a baffled resonator. Go on back, we've got a straight through resonator, then a muffler, again probably baffled, and we have another resonator in the back here. And if I had to guess, I would probably say it's a Helmholtz chamber. I doubt that there's actually anything in that. It's probably just imagine an expansion chamber in the exhaust to quieten it down a little bit more, but fairly large piping all the way through. be interesting to see when companies start coming out with more and more exhaust options for these trucks. And we've heard some just like weld-in mufflers and stuff like that. The 7.3 is a good sounding engine. But going back forward, we've got our 10R140 transmission. It's got a plastic pan and a lot of heat shielding all around on the exhaust and the transmission. We've got our transmission cooler right here underneath the bottom of the bell housing. It's liquid cooled, of course. One feature that I really like, we've got a aluminum oil pan with a regular bolt and an easy to get to and change oil filter. It looks like just a regular old Ford FL820S. As you can see, 5-star hasn't had this truck quite long enough to need to do an oil change. Go forward, we got our Dana Super 60 axle like we're used to seeing, and as you can see on this tag, looks like this particular one has 355 gears in it. And swing around to the front, and it's standard Super Duty fare as far as the steering, suspension, and everything. It looks like a kind of a smaller sway bar than we're used to seeing, but then again, we're used to dealing with diesel trucks more often, and the diesels will obviously, they have more weight on the front, so they need a bigger sway bar. But I guess if you wanted to stiffen up the ride and handling a little bit of your F-250, you could probably upgrade to a diesel sway bar. But yeah, it's basically what you're used to seeing on any of your newer 2017 and up Super Duties. Get a shot of the oil pan here. And another video, I will do just an underhood tour, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick look at what's going on underneath. You got these blocker brackets coming off the frame here to basically keep you from running over small cars and things like that. Ford started doing the blocker beam, if you remember, on the Ford Excursions when they got kind of a bad rap for running over Honda Civics and whatnot. That's how we ended up getting these kickdowns on the frame rail, and now even have a kickdown right here bolted into the frame. Now the great thing is, if you want to do a lot of off-roading, you see how it's sort of level with the chin splitter. This is just bolted in right there. You could take this blocker off and it would give you a little bit more approach angle. So, or you can, if you're looking to do some weight reduction on your 8,000 pound truck, I'm sure there's at least 2 pounds of metal right there you can take off the front end. But that's pretty much it as far as looking underneath, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a look under the hood later on this week.